Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Adam Pearce had an interaction with Paul Heyman backstage on Raw, where he made a rather big decision that left the Oracle completely stunned and lost for words. In the opening segment of Raw this week, Adam Pearce had to confront the Vision, with Bron Breakker having the World Heavyweight title over his shoulders. When Pearce announced he was stripping Seth Rollins of the title, Bron Breakker told the Raw general manager to say please to get the title back from him. Pearce indulged his request, but little did they know that the comment would come back to bite them. Backstage, Paul Heyman kept knocking on Pearce's door, and the general manager then opened, stating that he had been waiting for Heyman for 40 minutes. This was, of course, a practical joke he was playing. What wasn't a joke, however, was the fact that Adam Pearce removed Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed from the Battle Royal to determine the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. In a moment of revenge, Pearce asked Paul Heyman to say please to put them back in the match. Heyman would say please, but his request was flat out denied. Breakker and Reed were understandably not happy about this call, since it meant that the world title wouldn't remain in the Vision. It would be CM Punk versus the winner of the Battle Royal. In response, Heyman told Breakker and Reed to have faith in him and reminded them of the success that stars like Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns had when they were under his umbrella. The point he was trying to communicate was that bumps on the road don't necessarily translate to failure. It's going to be really interesting to see how things play out in the coming weeks and months with the Vision. WWE Raw this week ended with a shocking twist that left fans speechless and Paul Heyman completely stunned. For months, Heyman had walked into every Raw and SmackDown episode with confidence, believing he could outsmart anyone in WWE management. But this week, that confidence was shattered in front of millions as Adam Pearce made a game-changing decision that could shift the balance of power in WWE forever. The night began as usual, with Paul Heyman opening Raw in the middle of the ring, microphone in hand, with that trademark smirk. He was there representing the Bloodline, or at least, what was left of it, after weeks of chaos involving Solo Sikoa, Jimmy USO, and a mysterious new enforcer who has been wreaking havoc on SmackDown. Heyman started by bragging about the Bloodline's inevitable dominance, even teasing that Roman Reigns' return was closer than anyone expected. But before Heyman could finish his monologue, Raw general manager Adam Pearce's music hit. The fans erupted as Pearce walked to the ring with a no-nonsense look on his face. Something was clearly different tonight. He wasn't out there for a typical back-and-forth argument. Pearce had a file folder in his hand and an announcement that would shake Raw to its core. "Paul," Pearce began, "I've let you walk around here for months acting like you run this place. You've manipulated contracts, interfered with brand decisions, and treated Raw superstars like pawns in your little empire. But as of tonight, that ends." Heyman laughed it off, assuming this was another empty threat. He leaned into the microphone and sneered, "Adam Pearce, you and I both know that the board doesn't make a move without consulting me. So whatever you think you're about to do, think again." That's when Pearce dropped the bombshell. He announced that effective immediately, Paul Heyman was banned from representing any active WWE superstar on Raw until further notice. The reason? Repeated violations of brand agreements, backstage manipulation, and unauthorized appearances on both brands. Pearce then added that Heyman's actions had directly influenced match outcomes and compromised the integrity of multiple championship decisions. The crowd went wild as Heyman's face turned pale. He wasn't expecting this. For the first time in years, he was speechless. Pearce wasn't done. He continued, saying, "But that's not all. Since you've chosen to use Raw as a playground for the Bloodline's chaos, I've decided to fight fire with fire. You're no longer allowed to interfere, but someone else will." That's when Pearce revealed his huge decision, a blockbuster move that could rewrite WWE's current landscape. Starting next week, Raw would introduce an official Bloodline enforcer, handpicked by management, not by Heyman or Solo Sikoa, to monitor and neutralize the Bloodline's influence on both brands. The fans roared with anticipation. Speculation began immediately. Could this new enforcer be a returning WWE legend? A powerhouse from NXT? Or perhaps someone with a personal vendetta against the bloodline. Heyman, still standing in the ring, tried to regain his composure. He shouted that Pearce didn't have the authority to make such a call. But Pearce calmly held up a document, an official statement from WWE headquarters confirming his decision. The camera zoomed in on Heyman's face as he realized this was no bluff. To make matters worse for Heyman, Pearce added one final twist. Until further notice, all bloodline appearances on Raw will require advance approval from WWE management. And if you show up without authorization, Paul, you'll be escorted out of the building. The fans erupted into chants of "You got fired," as Heyman's eyes widened in disbelief. For a man who built his career manipulating authority, this was a public humiliation unlike any other. Backstage segments later in the night showed Heyman storming into Pearce's office, demanding answers. Cameras captured their tense exchange. Heyman, visibly trembling with anger, said, "You think you can do this to me, Adam? To me? I'm Paul Heyman. I made champions, I built empires." Pearce didn't flinch. "You also broke every rule in the book. You crossed the line too many times. Consider this a reality check, Paul." Heyman's tone shifted. He lowered his voice and warned, "You're making a mistake. You're not just taking a shot at me, you're taking a shot at Roman Reigns himself. And when he returns, he'll remember who started this war." Pearce leaned in and replied, "Good. Because I'll be ready for him too." The tension was electric. The entire WWE universe could feel that something massive was brewing, a new chapter in the Bloodline saga, one where Paul Heyman was no longer pulling the strings. Social media exploded within minutes of the segment airing. Fans praised Pearce for finally standing up to Heyman, calling it the moment Raw needed. Others speculated about who the new enforcer could be, with names like Bobby Lashley, Braun Breaker, or even Drew McIntyre being thrown around. Some fans even joked that Pearce might be forming his own anti-bloodline alliance to restore balance across both brands. Commentators later added fuel to the fire, hinting that Triple H himself approved Pearce's move, viewing it as part of a larger effort to redefine power and control in WWE. By the time Raw went off the air, Heyman was seen leaving the arena, clutching his phone and frantically calling someone, presumably Roman Reigns. Cameras picked up just enough audio for fans to hear Heyman whisper, "They've gone too far this time, my tribal chief. They've gone too far." That single line sent chills through the WWE universe. Was this the spark that would bring Roman Reigns back? Would the Bloodline retaliate on SmackDown? And most importantly, who would Adam Pearce's mystery enforcer turn out to be? If WWE's goal was to reignite fan interest and tension heading into Survivor Series season, this move accomplished exactly that. Pearce's boldness has not only shaken Heyman but also made him one of the most unpredictable figures in WWE right now. For years, fans watched Adam Pearce play the diplomatic authority figure, caught between chaos and control. But tonight, he reminded everyone that he's not just a corporate face, he's a former wrestler, a strategist, and a man who won't be bullied by Paul Heyman or the Bloodline. As Raw ended with the commentary team teasing the dawn of a new era, the WWE Universe knew one thing for sure: this feud between Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman is far from over. In fact, it might just be the beginning of WWE's next great power struggle, one that could decide the fate of both brands and the future of the Bloodline itself. Whatever happens next week, one thing's certain: Paul Heyman won't forget the night Adam Pearce outsmarted him on live television, and neither will the fans who witnessed it.